playoffs? We're talking about playoffs. Yes, that is the case. That is, well, one of the main topics for today's show. We will also be talking about the home opener and all the fights and interesting stuff that happened afterwards. That's fun too, right? And then we're also going to talk about an interesting experience I had at Hardee's. We'll just say that. And that's all coming up next on the Ronnie Show. Hey, thank you very much. Thank you. Welcome, everybody, as I said already, to the Ronnie Show. So glad you could be with us here tonight. We've got a lot to talk about. Normally, at least for these episodes that we're doing throughout, the regular television season, we'll be talking about a certain topic for the most part. But that's not going to be the case because we've got 3 different things we need to talk about here. I think we're first going to start out with the interesting experience I had at Hardee's the other night. Well, in fact, it was yesterday as I'm filming this. So Tuesday night, we'll just say that. Tuesday night, that's when that was. So, yeah, because 2 topics are about, the Muskies and 1 isn't. So I think the Hardee's thing will fit right here into part 1. So, so as you know, I help out with my college football team's practices. And game days, too, with filming. So, that's normally what I do. That goes from, 4 to 6. But, of course, I had to be on the air at 7:05 for the Blue Jays-Yankees game. And so, yeah, which I did. That was no problem. However, in between, instead of going and waiting at Chick-fil-A to get my food, I thought it would be easier to just go through Hardee's because, it was a short distance away, and, I thought it would be fast. I just thought it would, because, fast food, right? So I went through Hardee's, and, of course, it's dinner time, so the line is a little long. The line wasn't too long, though. I think when I pulled up, there was one person ahead of me that was ordering, and there was one person that eventually pulled up, but the person in front of me hadn't even ordered yet when I pulled up. I mean, this really has nothing to do about the complaint I have, or what actually the main part of this, the main, point of this story. We'll just say that I'm just kind of setting it all up. And I thought it was just really strange that, and it just took probably a minute and a half, 2 minutes before somebody came on and said, "Hi, welcome to Hardee's, blah, 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 blah," for the person in front of me. And, she ordered, and that was fine. And so, then it was my turn, and the same thing happened. It took forever to get somebody. But eventually I did, and I told them my order. And by the way, those of you who don't know what Hardee's is, if you know what Carl's Jr. is, that's like another, it's the same exact place, but just with 2 different names. Although I think mostly everybody knows that. But for those of you who don't, so, yeah, I ordered, and, no biggie, right? Well, and it was a big double cheese. They call it the big cheeseburger. It's not that big. It's really not. It's just a whole marketing cash grab, because you gotta love those, right? And so, yeah, I ordered, I got a meal, burger with fries and a Coke. I mean, that's pretty, although I ordered strawberry lemonade, and so, yeah, then I pulled up, and I actually saw how they made the strawberry lemonade. They put, strawberry flavor in it, and then they just had a little, oh, God, what do they call it? A pitcher of lemonade, and they just dumped it in that way. So I thought that was an interesting way of making strawberry lemonade, but that was just the way it was. So, yeah, and that was pretty good. However, when I had gotten my order, because I was going straight from Hardee's to my grandma's house, I obviously ate it in the car. And usually when I eat in the car, with a meal like that, I eat the fries first before I eat the burger. Don't know why, it's just what I've always done. So I ate my fries, no biggie. And then when I pulled out the sandwich, I noticed it was really tiny. Well, it wasn't tiny, but it was smaller than it should have been. And I thought, well, what the did I just order? Or what's going on, basically. And I opened it, and it was a hot ham and cheese. And I thought, okay. So I just ate it. I mean, and the reason why I didn't return it is because what I'm about to tell you now. So I had the hot ham and cheese and the fries, and that was good. And then turned out there was a second sandwich in there that I did not realize, and that was a double cheeseburger, but that wasn't the big double cheeseburger that I had ordered. It was just a regular size one. And the big double cheeseburgers, they're a little bigger than, the regular size double cheeses, I'm sure. And I thought it had barbecue on it, and I was just like, who puts barbecue on a frickin' cheeseburger? But I think it was just ketchup. It was just a really dark colored ketchup, which kind of looks like shit. So, anyway, so I ate both sandwiches, and, it was fine. I didn't have any real complaints on it. So then, because I think I probably would have paid the same price if I had ordered 2 smaller sandwiches like there were in the bag with the fries and the drink. I'm sure it would have been the same price, so I just didn't worry about it. However, I looked on the receipt, and the receipt was for not my order and not the order in the bag, but just somebody else's order. And I'm not kidding you. In fact, here, I'll show you the picture. So I got a receipt for a completely separate vehicle. So here, I ordered one thing, I received another thing, and then the receipt they gave me said a completely different thing. So it's just like, what the hell? Like, it's, oh God, it's truly amazes me. It really, truly amazes me how bad Hardee's could screw that up. I thought it was more funny than anything else. I mean, it's just like when I go through Freddy's, and Freddy's is kind of like I don't know, it's kind of like a Dairy Queen, but more, not so much desserts, we'll just say that. And I went through the first time, and I had said my name was Ronnie, like usual. But then when I got to the door, or, to the drive-through window, and they gave me my bag, it had Russ on it. And I was just like, what the fuck? That's not the name I told you. So now I've been going by Sam, just so that, nobody screws it up. At least at Freddy's. I haven't done it with anywhere else. Although I really should at the Chick-fil-A here on campus. Although it hasn't happened in the last couple of weeks, so that's good. But when I first started going to Chick-fil-A here on my campus, I would say Ronnie, and they would put down Ron, even though I clearly said Ronnie, and I noticed this with a couple of my professors too. They did the same thing, and it drove me nuts. The one still does, and the one still kind of does too, but whatever, it's no big deal. But at Chick-fil-A, for like a week and a half straight, they were putting Ron. Like, that's not what I told you my name was. Okay, we're running over time, so we kind of have to wrap this up. But, so we went to, or no, we didn't go anywhere. So then, I think the last time they screwed up my name, I had told her, Ronnie was my name, right? Like this, clearly like that. Well, she had put Roland down, and I was like, where did you get that? I ain't 80 years old. Oh, God, some people's children, as my dad would say. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to the Ronnie Show. Well, it's now time to talk about the one important topic that we were going to talk about here tonight. That's kind of the title of the episode. And just one other little topic. And then I guess another little topic too. But anyway, so the main thing I want to talk about is the playoffs. Obviously, we just started out with the season. So the fact that you're seeing me talking about this, it's just like, what? Why? But the reason why I wanted to talk to you about this is because, and I had mentioned this when the schedule was first released for the Muskies, but instead of ending, second week of April, like all the other seasons in the past have, well, most of them, except for, COVID seasons, they all end in the first week of April, which I found kind of strange, but looking back on it now, I think I understand why, and I think this has been confirmed a little bit, too, by the league itself. But the reason why they're ending I shouldn't say that. The reason why they are ending the season the first week of April is because they're going to start, instead of having a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for the first 3 games of round 1, they're going to do it the previous weekend, so that second weekend of April. And I kind of thought it was weird a little bit, and just brainstorming about it. So I kind of came up with a few potential scenarios, and I'm going to kind of make them up as we go, but I have a few ideas that I've built up in my brain that we're going to expand upon. So when they said the previous weekend, the next weekend, the second weekend, I was thinking the 3 games would probably be on like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then round 2 would probably start middle of the week on Wednesday. Now, this presents a couple of problems. One of the good things is that you're going to get less weekday games, which is good. That's what we want to see. But the other weird thing I thought was that teams who, in the current playoff system, the first 2 teams in the conferences get byes from the first round. That's a week and a half off. And, with hockey, I mean, that's quite a long time. That's quite a long time. So, although I guess if you're, one of the 2 teams that get the bye, you're obviously basically at the cream of the crop in the league. So, I mean, it might not be so detrimental after all, but I think, with things like this, it's just like an experiment to see if whether or not it works. This season is basically going to be a test dummy for this new playoff format. So that's probably one of the scenarios that could happen. I was maybe thinking too, you would probably go Thursday, Friday, and Saturday too. Like that's a potential too as well, although I don't see the league really doing this. And then having round 2 start, say, on like Tuesday or Monday, even if, the series is only go 2 games. I mean, that's something else to think about too, because if the series goes for 2 games, then, whenever the series ends, there'll be 2 days of rest, at least for the first round teams before they move on with the postseason. This format, in my opinion, and a lot of fans have expressed this throughout the league, like group chats and things like that this format sucks. And I agree. I don't know why. I mean, it kind of makes sense, the format they do it in football, where, because at least, they're not playing as many games, and usually if you get a first round bye, you get, home field advantage in the postseason. Like, that's not bad. And like I said, it's just, week to week. They only play 1 game every week, basically. However, at one point, I mean, the Muskies, all of their playoff games, so the playoffs started for the Muskies on a Wednesday, and it started on Tuesday, and then it went Tuesday, Wednesday, and then for some reason, I think there was just a situation with the arena, but the next round, it went Friday, Saturday, and then Monday, and so the Muskies only had a day of rest, and Lincoln has had a week's worth of rest and didn't play a game at all. And most people think that that's unfair. And I agree. It is unfair to me. I mean, the postseason system that they had for years and years and years was, it'd be 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3, like that. Kind of like, for example, ALDS, that would be round 1, the ALCS, that would be round 2, and then the World Series, that would be the round 3, like that. And that playoff format worked. Not only the main reason for that is because, they could spread it over, 6 weekends. So games 1 and 2 would be Friday, Saturday. 3 and 4 would be Friday, Saturday, or Saturday, Sunday. It could be like that, depending on what the arena has going on. And then game 5 would be a Tuesday. So, obviously you wouldn't have very many games on weekdays like you do now during the postseason, and I think they really should go back to that format, although we barely made it, I'll tell you that much this year. We barely would have made it, and we wouldn't have even made it 3 seasons ago. So, yeah, it's just kind of funny how that works out. It really is, but yeah, I think they should go back to that format. I really think they should. Or if they're so hell-bent on having the top 6 teams, then you got to figure out something. I don't know what, but you got to figure out something. But yeah, so that's pretty much that topic. Yeah, because you'd have, although I didn't talk very much. I mean, well, I'll probably think of more other schedules we could use for this, format that the league has taken this year, ending a week earlier than planned. I mean, I'm sure we could probably make up tons of schedules of potential scenarios that could happen. So, but we're not going to. We're not going to. But something we will move on to is, holy hell, Friday night. So as you know, Friday night was the home opener versus Sioux Falls. And usually versus Sioux Falls, things get pretty intense already. I mean, that just is the way it is. It's a rivalry for a reason. And, oh my God, but, oh my God, that's literally what I have to say is, oh my God, because, and I'm sure, security and Sioux Falls fans are going to tell me differently, but Sioux Falls provoked Sioux City fans into potentially starting fights. Now, as you know, where I broadcast is pretty much right where the visiting team comes out for, warm-ups for the games, like directly below where I'm sitting is their locker room. So there, we'll just say it like that. Which reminds me, I do have another ticketing update, which is quite interesting, but we'll get to that shortly. So obviously a lot of the away fans like to sit kind of in my section and, kind of in that area right next to where they come out, which is fine. I got no problem with that, but they act like buffoons, especially Sioux Falls fans, because, they're famous for their cowbells. And that gets annoying after a while. It really is, because, a rush up the ice. That's literally what Sioux Falls fans do, All of a sudden, they end up on a breakaway. When they steal the puck away from a defender. Whenever they score a goal. Like, chill the out, okay? You don't need to ring your cowbells every time your team has the puck, okay? You don't have to do that, because it annoys me, number one, and number two, your ears are going to ring after the game, with how many times you ring the bell. So let's not, and especially when they're up here in Sioux Falls and there's 5,000-6,000 people there per game, and 3/4 of those people all have cowbells. I mean, holy hell. And I've been in the arena when there's been that many people and 3/4 of the crowd all have cowbells. I mean, it's just annoying as I will get out. So, yeah, that's kind of my biggest gripe about them. And then they wear buffalo heads on their head. Why? Why would you have a furry thing as a hat? You look like a furry already doing that. So it's just like, in fact, here, I'm going to show you a picture of a snap that I took from Friday night. And the lady's face when I took that picture, ooh, chef's kiss. Take a look. Yeah, safe to say I'd be, like I said in that caption, I'd be making that face too if, I had to wear that on my head. And the reason why I said a snap is because, in between the intermissions and things like that, I will post, my random thoughts about the game or what's going on in the arena on Snapchat, kind of like a behind the scenes look. So, yeah. And it gets quite, intense. We'll just say that from my point of view, obviously. I mean, I already talking a lot of BS here. I'll just say that. And really, it's all for fun. That's all it is. We're just having fun, Nobody's getting killed. Nobody's getting hurt. Anything like that. So, yeah, make sure to add me on Snap. I don't know, it depends, because normally I don't add people back who I don't know, but this might be the only time where I do that. But anyway, back to what I was saying. So, yeah, that happened. Well, towards the end of the game, once we took the lead, Sioux Falls fans started getting nervous, because they knew that we were going to win that game. And then all hell just broke loose. As you know, right at the end of the game, one of Sioux Falls guys took a shot right at us. In fact, I'm going to pull up. In fact, I probably should have had this game pulled up, but I'm pulling up the game for Friday night to see, because I didn't see exactly what had happened at the end, just because, you know, it happened pretty much right in front of where I was sitting, but it wasn't as big of a hit as I thought it was, but it was still a cheap shot that, you know.
Steady going after Tomko takes his man down.
See, there you go.
Out to center ice, down to
Back
3
here.
seconds. Out of time. Musketeers win it. 5-4 on the RP Constructors score. We got melee.
Oh, no. Okay, I see what happened. So something did end up happening. Number 14 for Sioux Falls. Oh, yeah, Soller. Cooper Soller. He pushed Tomko, and then Tomko basically took him. I don't know if I couldn't tell. Did he grab him by the shoulder or something? But he slammed him to the ground. Oh, yeah, by the back of his neck. Slammed him down to the ground. And he deserved that for being an ass like that. I mean, you just cannot do that. Right, especially when the game is over. And, of course, that set off, you know, our fans. Because, you know, that was unsportsmanlike what they did. You know, just you push around our guy after the buzzer sounds, which you should not do. I mean, the game's over. That's when you stop the hitting and all that crap. And, of course, as karma, you get slammed by the horse collar. You get taken by the horse collar and slammed to the ground. You deserve that after trying to instigate a fight after the buzzer sounds of the game. You deserve that. And, of course, Kason Musket, our enforcer, he was going to go and throw hands. Well, he did kind of a little bit, but yeah, that just... And then one of the Sioux Falls players, well, our fan was, you know, yelling at the Sioux Falls people, like, you know, hey, good cheap shot, you cowards, you unsportsmanlike cowards. And I guess they got under the skin of one of the players from Sioux Falls, and they decided to fight back with their words. Remember, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. And I think it was Eric Called. That's who it was. He did not understand that, I guess. And he got his feelings hurt. Aw, poor baby. Just stupid. And then that obviously pissed off the Sioux Falls fans. And then they start throwing words at us, which I don't know why you would do that. Your player caused all the commotion on the ice after the game. So why you're yelling at us and trying to say you're right is beyond me. It really is. And that's just disgusting that they would do something like that. Freaking disgusting as far as I'm concerned. So shame on them for that. And then apparently all the fighting went from in the arena at the seats to into the parking lot. Now, security was already involved at this point, which, you know, obviously, as you know, I will stick up for any and all not Sioux Falls fans over my dead body if I do so, but any Sioux City fans, because chances are they weren't the ones who instigated anything. You know, that's just not us. And clearly from that videotape that we just watched, well, I watched, and I described it to you, it was their guy that instigated everything. So why the Sioux Falls fans are coming at us is beyond me. It really is beyond me. Now, I don't know if this is going to lead now to some fans being banned from the arena, like some of our fans, even though it was everybody on Sioux Falls, on the ice and off the ice, that was doing everything. So, you know, I don't know. I really don't know. As you know, I'm all things Sioux City sports, you know, things like that. And what Sioux Falls did was just utter ridiculousness. It really, truly was. I mean, that's just, you don't do that. You don't do that. Their next home game, the Muskies' next home game versus Sioux Falls is next Friday night, actually. Now, I won't be there for that game. I won't be there just because I've got my real work. And I've already told you guys about it a whole bunch of times that, you know, I do high school football on Friday nights, filming the games and stuff like that. So it's a double header, 2 games, so I get double the pay. So that's good. So, yeah, I won't be there for that. Although, after next Friday night, I'll pretty much be able to attend every single home game, except for, New Year's Eve, which, for obvious reasons, it's going to be crazy and things like that. And we might be broadcasting from Arizona, too. So we'll see about that, because, as you know, I'm planning on doing a big New Year's Eve celebration, just because, here on RVN, we go all out for holidays, clearly, as you tell. And, well, I guess I'll talk about that in the next part of our show, about what we're doing about the marathon and things like that, because it's kind of coming to a screeching halt for now, but we'll get to that shortly. And, one more thing before we go to a commercial break. So I got a call yesterday from the front desk lady at the Musketeers. They have a new one this year, and, which is fine, it's no big deal. I mean, talk to me whenever you want, but I was in a class, so I couldn't, obviously pick it up. And I don't know if I had mentioned this or not, but the 2 seats that I would regularly sit at, that me and my mom or whoever would regularly sit at, obviously I bought the 1 seat, seat 16, just so that I have it for, all season long when I'm there. Like, I just bought it, because why not, right? And then I got that call, of course, that I had mentioned last week in last week's show. So if you want to go back and watch that, you can. And so that was good. That was great and all. But then I got a call yesterday saying that they had already, in here, I'll just say this. Friday night during the home opener, I did get my season tickets. I did. These are it right here. However, we had to choose 2 different seats. And instead of the 2 seats, 15 and 16, I now got 11 and 12. There's a couple that sits right next to me. And, obviously we know each other quite well. So, that was just going to be a simple switch. But then I got a call yesterday, saying that, turns out we already reserved seat 15 for you. Like, the only seat there was, seat 15, they had already reserved. So seat 16 was always going to be open, I guess. And so now for the rest of the season, I get, the seat 15, and then the $600 worth of tickets I bought for seat 16. So, yeah, because we were kind of looking at it, and I guess they thought it was weird that the singular seat was at the end, seat 16. Like, that was still, because I guess when they go and print out the season tickets or whatever, they, obviously go on to Ticketmaster and, click, 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 do all that. However, I guess, they'd reserved, or they didn't buy any for the next seat over, seat 16. And that was just open. Like, you could still buy tickets for that, which, obviously I had bought them all. And I guess the 2 seats next door in 105, even though those are season ticket holder seats too, they were on the website, they were still open. Like, you could buy them. So I just thought that was a little strange, but yeah, I don't know. Either way, I got season tickets no matter what, and for the rest of my life too. So that's great. So these are actually the seats 11 and 12 for the whole year. So I'm going to get 15 and 16 too. So I wonder if I still get 11 and 12 the rest of the year. Because if I do, that would be 4 seats. And we can make it like a family affair. Here, let's look it up actually to see if because I'm going to need to find some way to get into the game on Saturday, because, I probably won't make it to the game on Saturday because it'll be 7 Eastern time. That's when the game starts. I probably won't be down there until about 6:15 or 6:20 p.m. Eastern time, just because, we've got my college is playing a home game, and obviously I have to film for that. So, I probably won't get there until, like I said, about 6:15, 6:20 Eastern time. So, and I think at that point, everybody that works in the office is, going to be, they'll be all over the arena doing whatever they do during the game, whatever their jobs are during the game. So I don't know how I'll be able to catch up with them. Although, let's look it up now just to see if seats 11 and 12 are still taken. Because if they're not, then I'm not going to have any way to get into the game, and I probably won't have Oh, yeah, they just opened them up, actually. So, great. So these tickets are basically invalid. They are. They're invalid. They're nothing. Okay, well. Guess I don't need them anymore. And I think what had happened was they reserved seat 15 for me, but they didn't reserve seat 16. I think that was the weird part and kind of the whole point of it. Although I will keep these just, in case, obviously. So, yeah. Well, I'll find some way to get my tickets before I enter into the arena. So, some way, shape, or form. We'll see. Oh, it's looking like... kind of looking at all the seats that have been sold. It's looking like there won't be very many people there. So that might be interesting. Obviously, a lot of people buy tickets the day of. So, I mean... I don't know. We'll figure it. We'll get it all figured out, and by Saturday, we should be okay. So yeah, and then we've got one big important note about broadcasting it, which we're gonna have right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everybody. Well, one big announcement about the broadcast this weekend is that we're going to go back to pre-filming the Musketeers home games. Now, that's just because we've had several problems with... Ever since I've gotten my iPhone, we've had more problems trying to broadcast than, is worth pretty much for the most part. So, yeah. So, unfortunately, that will have to happen. But that's, you know what? It's no big deal. You know why? Because... Saturday, I think we're going to do it in the morning, like right when everybody, like when you wake up, say, 8, 9 o'clock. If you do, then, it'll be right there waiting for you, basically. So we're going to release the periods, period by period, kind of like, in the order that, like you were watching it live. So, the first period, including the pregame, probably will be, an hour and 10 or 15 minutes. Well, you would get that, say, at 7:45 a.m. Central Time, and, that would go until, obviously, closer to 9 o'clock. In fact, it would probably only be just over an hour. So we'd probably go off, say, at, 8:50 a.m. Eastern Time, and then we wouldn't be back on, say, until about 9:05, like a 15-minute gap in between the periods. So, yeah, that's big. You'll see, if you're subscribed and you've got the notifications turned on, you'll obviously see what I mean. So, yeah. We're going to take a break, and we're going to wrap things up right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everybody. Well, what did we learn tonight? It's that a whole bunch of things. One, Hardee's will give you too many orders. Although I'll still keep going to Hardee's. And number two, tickets are interesting. And fights in the parking lots should not be blamed on Musketeers fans. I think that's the other thing. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.